Hello, everybody. It's your favorite money man in a hoodie here. All right, let's get going. Baby step number 2. Last time we talked about baby step number 1, saving $1,000 for your starter emergency fund. Next, we're going to talk about baby step number 2, pay off all debt except for the house using the debt snowball. First, we're going to talk about why this is important. Why is it important that you pay off all debts? Everybody lives with debts. After all, you're never going to not have a car payment. You're always going to have a car payment. And I mean, everybody lives with credit card debt. I mean, you just want to reduce the amount of. Why do you have to pay it all off? Well, how difficult is it right now to save 3 to 6 months of expenses in a fully funded emergency fund? How much of you are investing 15% of your household income in retirement? How many of you are actively saving a good amount for your child's college fund? How many of you have hope of paying off your home early? Not a lot of people. I mean, you guys can go back to my work on baby step 1. We could go through those numbers again, but like they're pretty bleak. Most people struggle or would struggle with a $1,000 emergency that comes up. Now, let me ask you this, okay? Think about your debts for a minute, especially if you got like car loans. Think about your car loans, okay? How much easier would a $1,000 emergency be if you didn't have any debts? How much more likely would you be to have 3 to 6 months of emergency money set aside? Let's say you lost your job, okay? How long would you be okay if you lost your job? Probably not very long, right? You'd probably immediately have to turn around and get a job. What if you had the 3 to 6 months of emergency money prepared? That'd be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? How much brighter would your future be if you were able to invest 15% into your retirement? Be pretty good, wouldn't it? It'd be pretty nice to not have to worry about Social Security and to just be able to live off of the money you've saved that's grown over time. That would be nice, wouldn't it? The problem is it's pretty hard to do that when you're paying over $1,800 in debts alone. So think about this, okay? The average credit card debt is about $6,000. All right, credit card, the average balance is about $6,000 on a credit card, which means it's going to gain a lot of interest over time. It'll be somewhere between $1,000 to $2,000 of interest alone every single year. Average payment or average minimum payment is $150. Most people pay about $400 towards their credit cards. We've got the average used car loan. We're just going to use the used car loans because, oh boy, it would be scary if we're talking about new cars. The average used car minimum payment is about $500 every month. Okay, most households have about 2 cars, so we're looking at $1,000. And then we look at student loans. The average student loan payment is about $500. You see how this is all adding up? I mean, right there, if you're paying $400 towards a credit card every month, which never goes down, if you're paying $1,000 towards cars, that is, if you're buying used, if you buy new, it's more like $700 per car. And then that number, you see how difficult it would be? What could you do with that money if you didn't have any of those? Let's say you had fully paid off cars. What would you do with an extra $1,000 to $1,400 every month? What would you do with that money? That's pretty exciting to think about, isn't it? That's why baby step 2 is so important. That's why it is so important to pay off your debts. Now, why isn't the house included? Just do this as a quick little aside. The house isn't included because you can work on the house. If you're renting, then the house doesn't apply to you. But if you own a house, it's part of your debts. The reason that it's not included in the debt snowball is because you can do that while you're doing baby steps 3, 4, and 5. It's easy enough to do. Because if it's your only expense, because you'd be doing that anyway. You'd be paying that money anyways if you were renting. That's why it's not looped into that. All right. Now, baby step 2, paying off all your debts using the debt snowball. There's 2 methods that people use. The first one I'm going to talk about is the one I do not recommend, which is the debt avalanche. All right, so this This method lists your debts in order of your interest rates. It puts the highest interest rate at the top. That's the first one that you're going to pay, is the one with the highest interest rate. Because if you pay it off, you're not going to have to pay as much money in the long run. You have this money, all this interest is going to add up. And if you put it later on the line, I mean, I know it's a big one, but if you pay it off first, you're going to save so much money on things you would have paid with interest. Yeah, I know. You'd long run, mathematically, save money paying the highest interest one first. I know that. You know what the problem with it is? Money isn't a math problem, it's a behavior problem. You're in this mess because you bought a car you couldn't afford. You went to a school you couldn't afford. Or you went too early and you weren't able to work and save up enough money to at least reduce the amount of student loan that you have, and now you're in a mess. You got to remember the human behavior element. And part of human behavior is discouragement. If you've got a car loan with a really high interest rate, it's like $15,000, and you got about $10,000 in student loans, why would you pay the student loan off before the car? Because you'll be able to pay the lower student loan off before the car loan. Just like you'd be able to pay a credit card with $6,000 off faster than you can pay off the big student loan. You see how this works? You pay it off, and then what happens? Dopamine hit. You feel like you've accomplished something. Let's compare your work days, okay? Let's say you have one work day where you feel like you don't get anything done, okay? You were there, you were working hard the whole time, but you weren't really able to finish anything. That's pretty frustrating, isn't it? Now think of a day where everything that you touched got accomplished. You come in and suddenly everything that you do is successful. You're able to get things done. You don't have to think about this anymore. We got the budget worked out. Now we don't have to worry about the budget anymore. We got this one fire put out over here. Now we don't have to worry about that. If you feel successful, you feel energized, and you're like, yeah, now I've got more time to do the hard things. It's exactly the same thing with your money. When you do these baby steps in order, when you hit those debts with the smallest one first and then hit the larger ones later, you get excited, you get energized, you realize, I can do this. That's why it is important to use the debt snowball. List them from the smallest ones to the largest ones. You're going to attack the smallest one first, you're going to kill that debt dead, and then you have more weaponry to attack the second smallest one. All right? That's why I and the Baby Steps, or the Ramsey community, recommend the debt snowball. Now let's play a little game. You can also go over to Ramsey Solutions and check out their debt snowball calculator. All right. So here I've got a little bit of I've already typed in some of this right here. We're going to walk through all of it, but I've already added a couple of these like little debt things. You can add and remove them right here. This is all free for you to use. But you've got the debt snowball calculator. What you do is you list out your debts. We're going to do the first one's a credit card. Interest rate is 22% because it's actually higher than that. Balance is about $6,000 because that's the average. Minimum payment is $150 because that's the average. And account name is optional, so we're not going to really include that, right? Yeah, you know what? We will. Let's do capital. We're going to do Capital Bum. It's about what I think of them. All right. So we got that one listed here. Let's do the next one. Ready? Let's say the next one is probably let's say a car loan, okay? Interest rates have gone up a little bit, so we're going to put in 7%. For the balance, let's just throw a number in there. We're going to throw in, that did not do the commas like I expected. We're going to do $20,000. Minimum payments, we're going to put in the average, $500. We're going to put in for this debt, we're going to call it the board siesta. There we go. I'm not sure if that's how you spell siesta. This one, we're going to do a student loan. We're going to throw in $30,000. Minimum payment is about 500. And we're going to put in stuff I don't use. Because, shockingly, over 40% of college graduates are not using. Actually, it was over 50% of college graduates are not using their degree for the field that they studied. And that doesn't even include the dropouts who have student loans. It's kind of ridiculous. All right, and for debt 4, we're going to do the mortgage. Oh, the mortgage isn't on here. Never mind. We're going to throw another car loan on here because some people just have some crazy car loans. Minimum payment. We're going to say this is a new car. $700. All right. And what could we call this one? What could we call this one? Something fun that we could call this one. We're going to call this one the heavy Dumbarado. There we go. All right. So next, you can add stuff in here. It's optional. All optional things for you to do. So you list the non-mortgage debts. And let's put this in. We'll put in the average, okay? Average is about $65,000 for, monthly household income. We're going to put in, $7,000 for the monthly household income. Next, to snowball your debt, enter the additional amount you want to pay above the minimum required payment. We're going to start without that at first. Whew. Here's how it's ordered, okay? You got your credit cards, got your car loans. This is your total debt. 26% of your income. Whew. If you continue making only minimums, you'll be debt-free by January of 2030. I meant to move this over here. My apologies. I was not thinking. I was busy. Because this stuff makes me crazy. There we go. All right, so you got it all listed out here with all of the interest stuff. 26% of your income is going to go to debt. Yeah, and that's $1,850 of your income every month. If you use the debt snowball method, you'll be free. Okay. If you continue making only minimum payments, you'll be debt-free by January 2030. If you use the debt snowball method, you'll be debt-free by October of 2028. Okay? So that's a whole about year and a half earlier if all you're doing is paying the minimum payments. And once, like, let's say the credit card is gone, you take the minimum credit card payment, which I believe we put in at $150. So you take the $150 and you add that to the board siesta. And when the board siesta is done, you're going to take the $500 from there and the $150 from there, the $650. You're going to throw that into the student loans. And you see how that starts to work? Now let's add in a little extra. Let's say that you got really serious about it, or at least let's say you got a little bit serious about it. Now let's say that every month you added in an extra, let's say you double it. Okay, $150. April of 2028. Oh, you've cut that down a little bit. Okay, so 5 years you'll be out of debt. Okay, let's change that up again. Okay, let's say instead of doubling how much you're paying on Capital Bum, let's say that you tripled it to $300. Ooh, we're knocking another year off. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Look at that start to go down. What if, let's say, you got some extra income? Let's say that maybe on a free day or like a free evening, you decided to do some ride sharing. Let's say you did like what's that place? There's Lyft and there's the popular one whose name I can't remember. But let's say you earn an extra $100 a week. Okay, so you got the $300. You earn an extra $100 a week, and you put every penny of that extra $100 a week towards your debts. 4 weeks, $400. And we're going to add that in with what we were already doing. The 300, make it $700. Just knocking months off. Now, can you imagine what happens if you get a raise? Let's say you get a raise, and let's say you're able to bump that up to an extra $1,000. You knock an entire year off. This is why the debt snowball is so important. You can start knocking these debts gone, and then after that, you have freedom. This doesn't have to rule your life. You can do it, but you have to want to do it. You have to want to knock these debts gone, okay? Because if you're just doing it by accident and you're just paying the minimum payments, like we said over here, take that down to $0. If all you do is minimum payments and you started right now, it would take you 6 years to get out of debt. Versus if you did the debt snowball, even without any extra monthly payments, only paying what you are currently doing right now and just rolling those minimum payments over, you knock an entire year and a half off and more if you really got serious. We were able to just toying around with the numbers and not even doing anything crazy. What if you sold the heavy Dumbarado? Bought a simple car that, it's not flashy or fancy, but it runs, and you just threw, let's say, $15,000 of the money you can make off of the Dumbarado at the debts. You could knock huge chunks off of this. And then, once you do that, you have the freedom to be able to get to these steps faster and sooner. And the reason that's important is because of baby step 4. Now, let's do this. Ready? Let's come back over here for a moment. What if, instead of putting all of these towards monthly payments, let's say you took just the debt and you were to put that over, let's see. Aha. Retirement calculator. I love this tool. This tool is fun. Current age. Let's say I'm 30, so let's put 30 in. Plan to retire, let's say 65. How much you currently have in investments? Let's put in 0. I love this tool. This tool is fun. How much will you contribute monthly? Let's say, instead of doing like the 15%, let's say we do, we freed up all that money. We're using some of that for savings. We'll put 1,500. Man, we can't do that monthly. Let's say we freed up enough money that we can put 500 into retirement stuff. Okay, it gives us a lot of other money to do. And what do you think your annual return will be if you put it in a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k? 10%. Let's calculate. $1,898,000. That's crazy good. Look at this. And then you see right there, that's your $1 million year right there in 2052. Even along here, you see it starts to grow and it grows faster and it grows faster. That's why you do the debt snowball, so that you have more money to save in baby step 4. You have more money to save in baby step 5. We only took $500 a month to plug into retirement. Maybe you take another $500 and you plug it into the college fund. And then you put another, the last like $500 or extra, and you put that into paying off a home early. That's why you do baby step 2. That's why baby step 2 is the most important one after baby step 1, having that extra emergency money. You do this so that you can do all of these other things. I mean, because look, 3 to 6 months of expenses, we had $1,800 a month that was just going to debts. All of that money, when all of that debt is paid off, you can immediately throw almost $2,000 into emergency savings. You'll have a fully funded emergency fund in maybe 3 months. That's awesome. That's why it is important for you to do baby step 2. Hope that makes sense. I rambled on a little bit. Wasn't too long. I've rambled longer, worse. But yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys later. And let me know if you have any questions. I will be happy to answer.